Well, welcome everyone. My name's Sue Elson. I'm an independent LinkedIn specialist and welcome to the 2022 Melbourne Career Expo. This session is on 10 ways to use LinkedIn to secure the work you want. I do a lot of teaching, so if you want to ask me any questions at any time, feel free to do so. And I've also signed into my LinkedIn account, so if there's anything you want me to show you how to do, I can do that. On this table over there, there's a little stand where you can scan a QR code and get a copy of the slides and also the video recording, so if that's going to be helpful to you. So just to give you a tiny bit of background on me, I started my career at Westpac in Adelaide. I worked there for 11 years before I moved to Melbourne, and I haven't had a real job since. So I've done a whole bunch of different things. I joined LinkedIn on the 21st of December 2003, so I've been on the platform for a very long time, and I started consulting in it in 2008. I run social enterprises. I've written 5 books. Those 4 are all available digitally, free for you if you'd like to download them. I'm a member of lots of associations, and today I'm here voluntarily, and I do a lot of other voluntary work as well. So the number one tip I'm going to give you for working with LinkedIn to get the work you want is to actually fill in your LinkedIn profile. And there's a lot of sections that you can fill in. And most of the people who come to me have not filled out their entire LinkedIn profile. So it says add sections, you've got to add them all in. And the other thing a lot of people forget to do is talk about their achievements. So an achievement is anything you did really well in your job or anything that you did over and above what was initially required. And then there's 3 buttons. On the open to, it says hiring, open to work, finding work, and also providing services. So you should fill in both the open to work one and the providing services. That will also help you appear in more search results. Now these slides also have a link to more information. So every slide you can click through and you can get more information as well. So the next thing is keywords. So LinkedIn is essentially a database, and if someone is looking for someone with your skills and you have not written them in your LinkedIn profile, they can't find you. And the number one spot for your keywords is in the headline, which is directly underneath your name. So if you just say open to work or looking for opportunities, you're not going to come up in any search results. You have to put the keywords on your LinkedIn profile. And there's primary keywords that are the most important ones, and then there's the secondary keywords. So if you don't know what yours are, you can follow that link and find it out. But you want to repeat those words several times throughout your profile. So if you look at my LinkedIn profile, you'll see the word LinkedIn, training, specialist. Those words will appear there many, many times. You can also include the words in any of your activity that you do on LinkedIn as well. So if you're commenting on things that are related to what you do, then the algorithm, what's measuring your behavior on LinkedIn, is going to say, well, this person must really be interested in that because they're always engaging with this type of content. The next thing you can do is set up job alerts. So in the top search box, you can, or there's a little tab called jobs, and you can type in the different job titles and where you would like to work. So if you decided you're going to move to Queensland, you could say, I want to look for jobs in Queensland. But when you search for that job title, there's a little slider button and you can say, turn on a job alert. You can also look on that jobs tab. There is a lot of information about how to find work. There's little quizzes to help you prepare for interviews. There's assessment tools. There's heaps and heaps of stuff. And also, if you're a member of the local library in your local community, you can get access to LinkedIn learning courses all for free. And the best part about doing a LinkedIn learning course is once you've completed it, it shows on your LinkedIn profile automatically. You just sort of press a button and it goes there. Now, don't get too excited. It will only fill in 50 courses. So once you get to 50, that's kind of the maximum, but definitely worth doing. So there's the LinkedIn Jobs tab and also LinkedIn Learning are the 2 links there. Now, the next thing I suggest, you've filled in your profile, you've set up job alerts, now it's time to start networking. And up to 95% of jobs are never advertised. So if you are networking or you're found via LinkedIn, then you can get access to those opportunities that otherwise, and who wants to compete with 300 other applicants anyway? That's hard work. So I suggest that you connect with everyone that you know on LinkedIn. There's in the LinkedIn app, you can actually press in the search box and press the little dots, and you'll get a little QR code. So as you go around and you meet people, you can show them your QR code and connect instantly on LinkedIn. So connect with all your friends, family, acquaintances, people you meet through your hobbies and interests, also people in your profession. So even if you're not a member of the profession, you can still look at who's in the profession and see what they have to offer, and you can consider reaching out to them. People you studied with, people who you went to school with, or tertiary education of any sort. Also, if you are following the companies where you would like to work. So I know, for example, the National Australia Bank, if you're already following them and they're looking for someone with your skills, they're more likely to consider you. So you could search all the companies in your local area where you might like to work, see if they have a LinkedIn profile, and follow their company. It's a really soft way of networking. And also there's lots of online events that you can go to, and you can see who's going to that event and look through those people and perhaps reach out to some of those and say, hi, I know you're going to this event. Can you give me an update on the industry? I'm really interested in learning more. So I've written an article on it's not what you know or who you know, it's who refers you. So when you do that networking, you might meet George, and George says, look, I can't help you, but you should speak to Mary. So then when you go and speak to Mary, the relationship that she has with George is kind of the same relationship you have. So when you speak to Mary, you say, well, George sent me, and then Mary's much more likely to help you. And that's a referral. So it's much easier to get those referrals and then talk to someone than say, hello, give me a job. You know, it's much harder to do that. Although that said, when my son was only 13, he just rang people until somebody said yes. So, you know, telephone calls can actually work. Yeah, I know I'm here talking about LinkedIn, but that can also be helpful. And then there's also a little article I wrote for Kochie's Business Builders on networking locally. So now that you've got a little bit more active on LinkedIn, you can start engaging with the news feed. Now there's groups, there's the news feed, there's the events. You can look at the reactions that people are doing and the comments they're making, engage with those. Look at the companies you're interested in or the schools that you're interested in. And you can also, if you're connected to someone and you've seen them at work, you can endorse them for their skills. So it's really nice to give them a little vote. And also, you can ask for referrals, you can write recommendations. All of these things help tell the LinkedIn algorithm that you're actively looking for work. So when I was working in recruitment, we would keep applicants' profiles for 3 months, and then we'd say, oh, they've probably got a job now, so we'd get rid of them. So what you're doing is you're letting the LinkedIn algorithm know you're in the hunt for a job. Now, if you're not working at the moment, I do suggest you add in a job called career research, because the algorithm prefers people who have a current job. So if you don't have a current job, you just say, I'm doing career research in the title of the job you'd like, and then the algorithm stupidly believes you're currently working. So it's a way to manipulate that. So there's another couple of articles there on free, paid, and online and offline, what networking works. I turn up to lots of events because I like people to see me in person as well as see me online, so I still recommend that. And then ways to reach out on LinkedIn, 5 quick ways, and how to do it authentically, because people don't like it when you connect and say, by the way, can you give me something? You know, it's not a good look. So if you've got something you can do that's a bit more engaging, that's really good as well. Now the next stage is you've started applying for jobs. Now when you apply for a job on LinkedIn, you're allowed, depending on how the company has set it up, sometimes it will take you to the company website. You'll have to create a login and fill out a form, and it takes forever. Yes, I know. Or there's just a quick apply and it sends off some automatic document. Now, I don't believe that's the best way to do it. If you can attach one document, I suggest you do something called an application. So this is a cover letter and a resume all in one document that you have tailored for that specific job. And I have found that all of my clients who tailor it and design it specifically for the job will get an interview, because most of the applicants just go press, 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 and then they say, oh, I applied for 400 jobs and I never got an interview. Well, duh, nothing matched what the client was looking for. So you've got to tailor it. So I actually suggest you have a really long resume that has everything you've ever done in it, And then every time you apply for a job, you save it as another file, and then you just put in what's relevant for that job, so that this information they see is, you know, aligned. So when they look at the job description and they look at your application, the two match. But if you sent them the full version that had everything in it, that's irrelevant. So yeah, you've got to tailor it for each job. And the next thing is, large companies have a section when you visit their company profile called Life. It used to be called Careers, which was much more sensible, but anyway, they now call it Life. And they will sometimes list jobs there that they haven't actually advertised on LinkedIn. It's bizarre, I know, so it's worth checking that out as well. The articles below, the links are a little bit hard to see on the screen, but multiple job search strategies that work, finding a job or work using LinkedIn, and finding remote work from home jobs. Because I know when COVID hit, a lot of people said, I don't want to go to the office, they want to work from home. So I've written an article on that as well for you. Now the next thing is, it's much easier to approach somebody who might be interested in you already, and I call them warm leads. So if you can see who is looking at your LinkedIn profile, that gives you a clue as to they might be interested in the services you offer. Now if you look at my LinkedIn profile, you'll see the last word after independent LinkedIn specialist, careers, marketing, you know, etc., is the word dancer. And believe it or not, I've actually got people looking at my profile who are looking for a dancer. Good news is, none of them have asked me to dance for them, so that's very good news, but I like dancing. I now know that because that word is only in one spot on my LinkedIn profile, that tells me it's working for me. You know, not the way I don't need a dancing gig, but it means that when people look at my profile, I'm a woman of a certain age, 57, and I'm proud of it, but I want people to know that I'm still active and doing things. So that's why I've got that word in there. It's for another purpose, not to get a dancing gig. So who is liking your stuff? We all like it when people like our stuff. So, you know, if you've got people you love their work, please like it. You know, that gives them a good vibe and a good feeling about you. Oh, what's Sue doing nowadays? You know, she liked my post. And also, do you know someone in the organisation where you'd like to work that you can reach out to? I found your organisation at the Career Expo. I love the work they do. Can you tell me how to get a job here? It seems like an amazing organisation. Sometimes you can get a referral in that way. So there's another article there on where you can find warm leads on LinkedIn. Now, as I said earlier, I'm doing voluntary work here today, and I believe that if you have any level of disadvantage, and I've been working with people who are new to Melbourne since 2001, so quite often they've got international experience instead of local experience, or I work with older people or people returning to the workforce. You know, lots of them have disadvantage for one reason or another. So I say that the three main ways to get work are through networking, referrals, and voluntary work. And the beauty of voluntary work is you have to get up, get dressed, get out of the house, meet new people, and that leads to networking and referrals. Now, I don't mean you should volunteer for 60 hours a week for free. You know, I'm not suggesting that. And I'm not suggesting that you just volunteer in a soup kitchen either. I suggest that you try and get some sort of voluntary work in an area where you're interested. So that way, if you haven't been working for a while, you can get back into the swing of things and, you know, build up your confidence and say, well, I'm actually doing some work here, and then it sounds like you're working already again. You know, lots of benefits to doing voluntary work. And you can also add those achievements to your resume and your LinkedIn profile. So whilst you were there, you might have worked on a little project, you can pop that on there as well. This next article is how to help someone when they won't listen to your advice. So sometimes you might know somebody who really needs the help, like it's not you, it's somebody else. And so I wrote that article if you want to help someone take the next step. Now, when we go to school, university, courses, professional development, we learn the skills to do a job, but we don't learn the skills to get a job. Most of us were never taught those skills. So what ends up happening is we end up in all these crappy jobs that we never really wanted just because that's what ended up happening. But if you learn the skills to get a job and fill out your LinkedIn profile and do the networking and all that kind of stuff, then you have many more opportunities available to you. So I really encourage you to think about what are the skills to get a job, not just the skills to do a job. So when I first came to Melbourne, I kept coming second in the job interviews and I got really aggravated. I said, well, that's the same as last, you know, it doesn't matter whether I was second or 200th, it doesn't matter. But then I changed my approach and I said, hang on a minute, I've had this fantastic career in the bank and, you know, I'm still young and I want to, you know, see what's out there. They should be wanting me. So the next job interview I went to, I said, well, you know, how long have people worked here? What are the opportunities for promotion? Do you offer training and development? And all of a sudden they offered me 3 jobs on the spot. So it wasn't a case of me saying, please sir, give me a job. It was a case of, well, we've got to make sure this is the right fit for both of us. And then the whole dynamic changed. Sadly, they sacked me when I was pregnant, and that led to a whole nother story. Yeah, that means I'm doing what I'm doing now, so I'm not complaining. So the skills are different to get a job. You also only need 60% competency to apply. So some people think that if a job description has 25 skills, they have to have all 25. You don't. If you've got 60% of the skills, give it a crack. And say to them, I'm happy to learn the rest. Now, even if you had all 25 skills, 100%, it would still take you 6 months to be really good at the job anyway. So, you know, what's the point of worrying about whether you've got 100% before you go for something? Talk to them and say, I'm happy to learn more in my own time. I'm happy to do additional training. I'm happy to work with a peer. You know, you can do all of those sorts of things. You could also find a helpful coach, mentor, career support. So this session is being run as part of the Career Development Association of Australia. You can go next door and book a session with one of us for 20 minutes today, if that would be helpful to you. And then you can look at the cdaa.org.au website and find a career specialist and they can work one-on-one with you. And as I said before, create that job called career research. I've got a number of articles there, how to use LinkedIn to find a job, and also these articles on tough love for the unemployed. I had an ex-husband who was unemployed for about 19 years and we were married for about 19 years. So I'm very familiar with the world of the unemployed and it is different, but there's lots of things you can do even if you're not working. So I would really like to encourage you, if you're in any of those age groups, it says tough love, but it's really, here's some suggestions. It's not, you know, bad person. It's like, you know, give these things a go. And the last thing you can do is say thank you. So one of the jobs I applied for was the banking industry ombudsman because I'd had a banking career and this was, you know, a job that I applied for in Melbourne. And I wrote them a letter and said, thank you, I'm sorry I missed out, but please keep me in mind for any other jobs. So then what happened was the telecommunications industry ombudsman were looking for someone and they referred me on. So it's a really, really good idea, if you've got to an interview stage, to always make that time to say a personal thank you, send them a card because then they'll keep it. If they see an email, it disappears. But if you put a postcard in the post and just say thank you, I really appreciated the opportunity to gain some interview practice and learn more about your organisation, whatever it is, that can work well. You can also consider writing a review online. So keep that in mind anytime somebody does something good. I think a lot of people only write reviews when something terrible happens. But, you know, it's a really good idea to write reviews when something good happens or a letter of thanks. If you've asked for a referral, go back to that person and say, this is what happened as a result of the referral. And that would be helpful. And also say thank you to those poor friends and family who put up with you complaining, I've just spent another 7 hours on the stupid selection criteria. You know, that's good that they can support you through all of that. And that's my other family, because my family's all elsewhere. I've got amazing friends, so I always like to say thank you to them. So if you would like these slides and the slides to the other presentation I'm doing at 1:30 p.m. today on how to choose your next job or career, feel free to scan that code. It will send an email to me saying that you were a Melbourne Career Expo attendee and you'd like the slides and recording link. You can also email me, you can text me if you prefer, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, you can ask me quick questions. I'm more than happy to do that for free, you know, just quick stuff. And I've got heaps of information on my Sue Elson website, lots of webinar recordings. I run a monthly event on LinkedIn. The next one is LinkedIn for students and future graduates on the 10th of August at midday. But all of the presentations I do that are free, I put on YouTube, so you can see heaps of my content everywhere. It doesn't cost you anything, so you're most welcome to use that. So I'm now happy to answer questions or show you a couple of things on LinkedIn. So does anybody have a question? And you're going to have to shout it out so we can all hear it. Otherwise, I'll show you a couple of quick things on LinkedIn. Any questions? You just want to keep learning. I'm happy with that. You've all got the code? Okay. So here's a couple of things that I suggest everybody does on their LinkedIn profile. Now, the first one is your LinkedIn URL. So when you create a LinkedIn account, hopefully the internet will catch up with us at some point. It's just not happening at the moment. And apologies for any messages you see, because that's obviously just what's going to pop up. The internet doesn't appear to want to work. Here we are. Okay, so this is my LinkedIn profile. And over here on the top right is edit public profile and URL. So you need to change your URL to just your name, if that's possible. Because when you get a LinkedIn profile, it will say first name dash last name and a whole bunch of numbers and letters. That looks terrible on your resume, but it does also not optimize you in Google search results. So if somebody sees you as a candidate and they Google you, you might not show up in Google search results. So if you go over to this little pen over here and you just change it to your name, or if that's not available, put a dash between there, or if that's not available, you just put a number on the end. I normally use 8 because it's normally available, and then you choose save. So that's one thing you absolutely must do on your LinkedIn profile. Now, the next most important thing, or one of them, is your photograph. Would you believe up to 65% of the time spent looking at your LinkedIn profile is spent looking at your photo? So you want to be looking at the camera, smiling with your teeth showing, and wearing a high neck garment. This top is not the best. It would be better if I had a nice high one, because what's happening now is you're looking at my neck instead of my face. So if I had a high neck garment, it would frame your face and your eyes in the 1/3 line of the circle and your head at the top of the circle. And that makes you look, you know, sort of on scale. You can see here I've got a grey circle around my photograph. That's because on the phone app, I added a little 30-second video so you can just get a little introduction from me. Also on the phone, I added the voice pronunciation of my name. So if you've got a name that people find difficult to pronounce, it's really good if you just mention that. You've got 10 seconds to say your name. But this is the #1 spot for the keywords that I talked about. Now, all LinkedIn trainers have a different formula for working out what the headline should be. My formula is the label. So if you came up to me at a networking event and said, "Hi Sue, what do you do?" I'll say, "I'm an independent LinkedIn specialist." And every time people see me in the newsfeed, they're reminded that that's what I do. So that helps me be remembered. After that are all the keywords that I want to be found for. So trainer, author, writer, poet, etc. So any words you want to be found for, not say open to work, not say helping people achieve maximum potential. That's not keywords. Nobody's going to be looking for somebody who helps someone achieve maximum potential, right? It's just not going to happen. I'm glad you got my joke there. Thank you for smiling. And then the last thing is something about you personally, an interest that you have. So one person I met online said he was a bad golfer, and I nearly messaged him just because I thought that was funny. I thought, good on you for saying you're a bad golfer. And you can see I put a little emoji there as well, so that I look like I'm up to date and current, but I'm not trying too hard. Like I haven't put 64 emojis in there, so I look like I'm 20, because I'm clearly not. So I put the little emoji on the end. So the photo and that headline are really important, and your URL. The other thing that you'll notice is I have 2 boxes here, open to work and providing services. So I recommend on that open to button, you fill them in, and you can add featured items on your profile. This internet is really strange because it's just not coming. And here in my about section, I have included my contact information. So people don't have to click on anything, they can immediately reach me. And on an Android phone, they're clickable links. So I don't expect particularly women to put their mobile phone number on, but I've had my phone number on the internet for years, so I don't worry about it. But if you don't feel comfortable, absolutely no need to put your phone number there. But yeah, I've got that there. And then for each job, I have included on my LinkedIn profile. I'll show you the one for Social Media College. I don't just put in my job title, training facilitator, I add in more keywords after it. So the #1 spot for your keywords was your headline. But the number 2 spot is all those job titles. So if you've got what the searcher or the decision maker is looking for in a candidate in those job titles, that's going to help you appear in search results and be considered. And for every job, you need to write up your achievements, your tasks, and a brief description of the organisation. Because although there's a logo that people could click on it, most people don't ever click on it. So I like to provide that information. You are all welcome to stalk me as often as you like and copy the way I've done my LinkedIn profile, okay? So there's no issue with that. The more people I see looking at my profile, the happier I am, because I know they're pinching ideas and that will help them in their journey. Obviously our stories are different, so I've got no issue with it. Now this education one, I can guarantee not one person I've ever met has ever filled it in like this. So this is why I recommend that you do. So you can see all the subjects that I did as part of my degree. A lot of keywords in the education section can really help you. And one of the subjects I did was business ethics. And the interesting thing was, it included the topics of governance, risk and compliance. So if I wanted to go for a board position, I'd have to have those skills. So even though they weren't subjects, they were topics. But the algorithm just sees me having those keywords in my education section. So this is a way to manipulate the database so that you appear in more search results. Does that make sense? Now, the easiest one you can fill in is language. So, you know, you can all mention that you speak English and sometimes other languages as well. If you're a member of any professional association, you need to add that in licenses and certifications, as well as in the organisation section, and any volunteering you've done, pop that in. The top 3 skills, you'd want at least 20 votes for those, and you'd want at least 6 recommendations that you have both given and received. And I can tell you heaps more, but I'm only here for like 30 minutes, so I will wrap up there. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask in front of the group? Otherwise, I'll wind up the presentation and you can just come up and ask me. Or you can book an appointment next door, because we're running 20-minute sessions, or you can come back at 1:30, and if you didn't get the QR code, it's just on the table, and I've also got business cards on the table as well. That way I'll send you access to my 4 books and the slides and whatever else you like. I'll invite you to connect on LinkedIn so that you can benefit from being in search results. So any questions anyone's game enough to ask? No? Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of the Career Expo, and thanks for joining this workshop.